Hello folks, this is Jeff Phillips with SmokingMeat.com. Today I have a chuck roast that I got from Porter Road over at porterroad.com, and I'm going to be cooking this thing up on the smoker. First thing I'm going to do is dry brine it, add a little of my Texas style rub to it. We're going to put it in the fridge overnight and let all that kind of come together, and then we're going to be making some pulled beef from that tomorrow. I'm pretty excited to get started on this, so let's get after it. So easy process today. I've got some kosher salt here, coarse kosher salt, that we're going to be adding right to the top of this chuck roast. Typically you add 1/2 teaspoon per pound. This chuck roast comes in just under 3 pounds, so I'm going to add right at 1 teaspoon. You can add 1.5 teaspoon if you do the math, but I am going to be putting my Texas style rub on top of this, and it has a little salt, so we're going to let that one make up the difference. Now, you don't have to be real precise with this. I don't typically measure. If you want to measure, you can. I've been doing this a while, and I can kind of eyeball it. It can handle quite a bit. That's probably about right. It is a thick piece of meat, so it can handle quite a bit. That looks good to me. I also have my Jeff's Texas style rub here, which you can pick up over at thinbluefoods.com, or if you have a different rub you like to use, you can also use a 50-50 mix of salt and pepper. And since you've already got coarse salt on there, you could just add some coarse black pepper and that would be fine as well. So let's just add some of this to the top. I'm going to be pretty liberal with it. Another thing you could do, if you wanted to, I'm going to spread that out a little bit. I'm also going to press it in because I'm wanting to put some of this Texas style rub on all sides, and I don't want that Texas rub to fall off. So if you press it in, it kind of helps it to stay in place. I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to try to get some of this on all sides. Now I'm going to flip it over to the back side, the bottom side, and I'm not going to add any more salt to that side, but I'm going to add Texas style rub here. Pretty good little bit. It's just got a lot of pepper and a little salt. It's got some onion powder, garlic powder. It's got a little bit of cayenne just for a little kick. I didn't add a ton on that side, but I'm going to flip it back over. Put that in the center. I'm going to add a little more to the top there. Press that in. And that's all you do. I'm going to place this thing now in the fridge, and I'm going to leave it in the fridge overnight. And tomorrow when I get up, I'm going to fire up my smoker and get this thing to cooking, and we will show you that part when we get to it. Good morning. It's a beautiful day here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our chuck roast has been sitting in the fridge all night, and all those flavors just kind of working its way into the meat. I'm out here on my patio with the Lone Star Grillz 20x36. I'm getting that all fired up and ready to go, and we'll check back here in just a few minutes and get that meat on the smoker and get things going. I just pulled the meat out of the fridge and brought it out here to warm up just a little bit. I wanted you guys to get a look at that. Man, I wish you could smell it. That's just smelling so good. It doesn't help that I haven't had breakfast yet. Oh yeah, it's coming up good. Showing 225. I'm actually going to go ahead and bump that intake vent on closed. Let's try it right in there somewhere and see what that gets us. You will make a series of adjustments like this every time you fire up your stick burner like this. As you do it more and more, you'll figure out exactly what it takes to dial that right in. I want to show you guys what I did. Got a piece of hickory on this side. Got a piece of cherry on this side. Now I am still experimenting with wood placement and that sort of thing. So I'm going to see if I get some really good smoke with that placement right there. I'm trying to keep the wood from catching on fire. I just want it to smoke. So that's the goal. Let's go ahead and get this meat on that rack. Now one thing you'll find with this smoker, that the bottom rack is cooler than the top rack. I'm actually just gonna, folks, I love cooking on a pan instead of, I just don't like cleanup. I spend hours every week cleaning up my smokers, and by using a pan like this, the smoke is still able to get underneath that meat, to the sides, to the top. It doesn't, I can't tell at all that the smoke is hindered in the least. So I found this pan and rack here on Amazon. It's a full size. Well, this thing's been on the smoker about 5 hours. We're still sitting at 225, and the internal meat temperature has reached about 153 degrees. The next phase in this process is I'm going to move the meat to a pan with some liquid, because we're wanting to do a little braising on this thing. We want this thing to fall apart when we're finished. It's had 5 hours of good smoke. It's formed a good crust, and now we need to do some braising. Now what I've done, I've went ahead and put the liquid in a foil pan, and I've placed it on the top rack here to get hot. I didn't want to put the meat down in a cold. Actually, I may just leave the foil pan up there. There we go. Alright, I'm just gonna sit that down in that pan with that hot liquid. Now that liquid right there, that is a can, I think it's about 15 ounces of beef broth, and I mixed in a half can, probably about 5 ounces of cream of mushroom soup. Let's get this lid closed so we can keep that smoke going, and I'm guessing another couple hours at least, and I'll come back and check in at that time. Alright, since the last time I talked to you guys, the chuck roast was covered with foil, and I let it go all the way up to 208 degrees, and I just pulled it out. I think that looks wonderful. I'm going to get that rat back up. I'm going to let it rest for a little bit, and we're going to start pulling that apart. So I let this chuck roast rest for 15-20 minutes. You can actually rest this thing for an hour or two if you really wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and I've removed it out of the liquid and placed it into another foil pan. I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart into pieces. Another way you can do that is to put that down in your KitchenAid mixer with the dough hook, and that will do a really good job of shredding that up. But I'm just going to do it by hand today. I just use a couple of forks and just kind of pull that apart into pieces. And of course, like I said, you can make a quick job of this with your KitchenAid mixer. I think some people, when they shred things like pulled pork, I think they mince it up too much. I like the larger chunks. I like the texture. Man, the smoke ring on that is beautiful. It's juicy, it's tender, it's got some good crust, some good bark in there. You just can't ask for better than that. So I'm going to get to searing up some onions, grilling some onions on this griddle, and once I get that done, I am going to mix that in with the meat, and that's just going to be tasty. I've got some couple of onions here that I chopped up and or sliced up rather. And I'm going to throw them right here on this griddle with some oil and a little bit of my Texas rub and get those all grilled up. And then we'll just go from there. If you never grill onions like this, then you are missing out. I'm just using a little olive oil there. I'm going to add a little bit of my Jeff's Texas style rub to those. This stuff goes really good on a lot of things, but it's really good on these onions too. And as you can see, I'm not putting a bunch, just a light sprinkle. I've buttered both sides of the bread here. I'm going to toast both sides. I went pretty heavy with the butter. You can lighten up on that if you want to. One thing you can also do is use mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is basically oil and eggs. It works really good to toast bread. This meat has cooled down a little bit since I pulled it, so I'm gonna go ahead and lay some right over here and let it be heating up while I'm toasting the bread. All right, so we've toasted our bread, and I'm just gonna add some of this meat to the top. I'm gonna be very generous with it because I'm a generous kind of guy. Get some of those little onions on top. That right there, folks, is what I was going for. That is pulled chuck roast, shredded chuck roast, grilled onions, toasted bread. You just can't get much better than that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today as I cooked up this chuck roast on the Lone Star Grillz 20x36 smoker. Be sure and hit that subscribe button down below if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. And also, if you have any questions or feedback or comments, you can post that down below in the comment section. Once again, this is Jeff Phillips with SmokingMeat.com, and I look forward to seeing you next time.